This is not just another ghost story. This is real, documented, proven. And tonight, you and I are stepping into one of America's most terrifying legends. A case so famous, so disturbing, that even police officers refused to put the truth in their reports. They feared being called insane. But the truth still lingers here. And in this video, I will show you the evidence that lives online and the dark whispers that remain inside these walls. The year was 1990, and a country singer named Bobby Mackey thought he had found his dream property in Wilder, Kentucky. A massive hall, perfect for a music club, perfect for his family. But what Bobby didn't know was that he wasn't just buying a property. He was buying a nightmare. From the very first step his wife Janet took inside, she felt a suffocating presence, a heavy darkness that pressed against her. Soon, strange things began to happen, blood-red liquid rising from the kitchen sink, ghostly voices echoing through empty rooms, and shadows dancing behind locked doors. Even the police witnessed music and laughter inside the club when no one was there. And when a fatal car crash took place outside, a woman from the club handed them a cloth to cover the body. But when they went to thank the owners, Bobby swore no one had left the house. What was this place? A cursed nightclub? A gateway to something darker? Tonight, we dive deep into the terrifying history of America's most haunted nightclub, Bobby Mackey's Music World, where music meets murder, and where the dead refuse to stay buried. This is going to be a story which is absolutely real, and many proofs of which are not only available online on the internet, but I will also show you in this video. Secondly, this is a very famous documented horror case. Yes, this is the same case which you would not want to watch alone with the lights off. That is why I say make this like button your partner. Take out a phone, press it, dip it, and keep it with you, and whenever you start feeling even a little bit that yes, you're feeling scared, then press it hard to reduce your fear. Also click on the subscribe button. Write in the pic in the comments. Let's dive in. To understand this very famous case, we will have to go to the Wilder area of Kentucky in America, and the time was 1990, when a very famous singer of America named Bobby Mackey started looking for a new house for himself. Actually, he was not looking for a new house, but a very big property, and he had told many property dealers around him that I do not want only a house, but I want a very big auditorium. Along with this, there should be a very big parking space. During the last video, I told you that I am going to bring a very amazing horror story in front of you all, and it took me time, because firstly, its script was not complete, and secondly, it took me some time to collect its proofs. But believe you should also be some empty field behind it. A very big property was needed. So soon the dealer started roaming around on his demand, and by the beginning of 1990, Bobby Mackey was called by a dealer who was now going to bring him to this property. Actually, Bobby Mackey used to be an engineer in the railroad earlier, but his passion was for music. Due to that, he left that job of an engineer and shifted towards music, and he got a very good popularity. Many of his songs went viral in America at that time, and because of this, his dreams grew even more that he would have a very big music auditorium of his own in which he would perform himself, or he would invite the popular singers of country music to perform there. Now, Bobby loved his wife Janet more than he loved music, and Janet had just become pregnant with their first child. So this was the perfect opportunity for him to buy a big property in which he could work and raise his family. So when the property dealer showed this big property to Bobby Mackey, he liked it as soon as he saw it. The dealer arranged a tour of the inside for Bobby Mackey. After liking everything inside, after thinking a little more, Bobby Mackey decided alone that he would buy this property. But he had no idea that he was not just buying property here, but was buying a lot more with it. The same evening, Bobby reached the property with his wife Janet. He had already taken the keys from the dealer so that he could show the property to his wife properly. Bobby and his wife Janet were now standing at the main door of the property. Bobby quickly opened the lock and welcomed Janet inside. But the moment Janet stepped inside, she felt something strange inside. She was feeling a different kind of negative energy. But at that time, she remained completely silent. So, as soon as he went inside, Bobby started roaming around the entire property on his own, while Janet went to the kitchen on the ground floor of the house built inside, because she had to see how the kitchen was there, because she had to handle most of the work there. So, as soon as she went to the kitchen, she saw the things kept inside. It was actually a fully furnished kitchen. All the things were lying inside. So, as soon as she started picking up each thing and looking at it, then suddenly Janet heard the sound of water leaking from the sink in the kitchen. But all the taps were closed. Water was not coming out of any of them. So Janet immediately turned to the sink and started looking inside. But there was no water here. Rather, it seemed as if there was something that was going to come up very fast with a lot of pressure and would come out of the sink right now, and slowly that thing came out, and it was a red-colored liquid. Now, as soon as Janet saw this liquid, she screamed very loudly. As soon as Janet screamed, that red-colored liquid was flushed out of the sink. And as soon as her husband Bobby heard her scream, Bobby immediately ran inside the kitchen and started asking Janet, "Are you okay? Why did you scream so loudly?" Janet said that I just saw a red-colored liquid inside the sink, and when that liquid came up and went back down, it seemed as if some female voice was gurgling inside. Her deep, gurgling voice came out of the sink as she went. But as soon as Bobby heard all this, Bobby started to calm Janet down, saying that, "Janet, you are pregnant right now. It is possible that your hormones are changing, and it is possible that you are having mood swings, and that is why you are seeing all this as an illusion." But at that time, Janet had calmed down. But what next? After showing the whole house to Janet, both of them had come out of the house. And as soon as they came out, Janet started to explain to Bobby. Many of his songs went viral in America at that time, and because of this, his dreams grew even more, that he would have a very big music auditorium of his own in which he would perform himself, or he would invite the popular singers of country music to perform there. Now, Bobby loved his wife Janet more than he loved music, and Janet had just become pregnant with their first child. So this was the perfect opportunity for him to buy a big property in which he could work and raise his family. So when the property dealer showed this big property to Bobby Mackey, he liked it as soon as he saw it. The dealer arranged a tour of the inside for Bobby Mackey. After liking everything inside, after thinking a little more, Bobby Mackey decided alone that he would buy this property. But he had no idea that he was not just buying property here, but was buying a lot more with it. The same evening, Bobby reached the property with his wife Janet. He had already taken the keys from the dealer so that he could show the property to his wife properly. Bobby and his wife Janet were now standing at the main door of the property. Bobby quickly opened the lock and welcomed Janet inside. But the moment Janet stepped inside, she felt something strange inside. She was feeling a different kind of negative energy. But at that time, she remained completely silent. So, as soon as he went inside, Bobby started roaming around the entire property on his own, while Janet went to the kitchen on the ground floor of the house built inside, because she had to see how the kitchen was there, because she had to handle most of the work there. So, as soon as she went to the kitchen, she saw the things kept inside. It was actually a fully furnished kitchen. All the things were lying inside. So, as soon as she started picking up each thing and looking at it, then suddenly Janet heard the sound of water leaking from the sink in the kitchen. But all the taps were closed. Water was not coming out of any of them. So Janet immediately turned to the sink and started looking inside. But there was no water here. Rather, it seemed as if there was something that was going to come up very fast with a lot of pressure and would come out of the sink right now, and slowly that thing came out, and it was a red-colored liquid. Now, as soon as Janet saw this liquid, she screamed very loudly. As soon as Janet screamed, that red-colored liquid was flushed out of the sink. And as soon as her husband Bobby heard her scream, Bobby immediately ran inside the kitchen and started asking Janet, "Are you okay? Why did you scream so loudly?" Janet said that I just saw a red-colored liquid inside the sink, and when that liquid came up and went back down, it seemed as if some female voice was gurgling inside. Her deep, gurgling voice came out of the sink as she went. But as soon as Bobby heard all this, Bobby started to calm Janet down, saying that, "Janet, you are pregnant right now. It is possible that your hormones are changing, and it is possible that you are having mood swings, and that is why you are seeing all this as an illusion." But at that time, Janet had calmed down. But what next? After showing the whole house to Janet, both of them had come out of the house. And as soon as they came out, Janet started to explain to Bobby. Bobby said that I did not like it at all. It is a very dirty place. Its vibes are not good at all. But Bobby explained to Janet that this is my dream project. This place can fulfill my love for music. Here I will open a big auditorium, set up a stage, build a club, etc., and we will earn a lot from this. You try to understand." But Janet remained silent, and the very next day Bobby got all the papers of its registry, etc. signed, and got it registered in his name after making the full payment. The very next day, 3 trucks full of big stuff were shifted inside this house. All the stuff was shifted inside. Separate labor was called. Now, as soon as the labor left, Bobby and Janet were again alone inside this entire property. Then Bobby saw that there were a lot of cobwebs on surrounding walls. The paint of some was also falling down. So that is why Bobby himself started picking leaves and rubbing the walls. Janet, too, like a supportive wife, now that the decision had been taken, it was final. Nothing could be changed. So she decided to support her husband, and she, too, started cleaning the walls with him. And when both of them, Bobby and Janet, were cleaning the walls, someone knocked on their main door. Bobby immediately ran to the main door. He opened the door, and an unknown man was standing in front. The unknown man waved his hand towards Bobby and told him his name was Carl Lawson. Carl said that I have just come to know that you people have bought the entire property. You are its new owner. Actually, the old owner of this property used to run a big club inside this entire property, and when he used to work as a handyman in this property. You can understand handyman in this way, that doing small mechanical work inside the property, like fixing a pipe if it is broken, fixing wires, etc., doing small electrical work, cleaning, that is called a handyman. And this Carl Lawson was working as a handyman in this property for the previous owners. But Carl told that when the club used to run in this property earlier, a lot of crowd used to come here, and many times big fights also happened in that crowd. In fact, many murders have also happened inside this club. Now, in fact, Bobby stopped him and said that, look, all the people who come inside the club are under the influence of drugs. They are idiots, and nobody knows what can happen at their hands. Fights inside clubs or such murders are not a big deal. But Carl stopped Bobby and told him that the crowd that actually used to come here at that time was not normal. It was very abnormal, and due to that, its old owners had closed this club here. And as soon as the club was closed, I also lost my job from here. But now that I know that you guys have bought this place, and you guys are going to start again, I want to work as a handyman for you. Now, obviously, Bobby saw some advantages in Carl, because Carl knows the whole property very well, and he knows what kind of electrical fittings are there, what kind of water fittings are there. So Bobby immediately hired Carl, and from that time, these 3, Janet, Bobby, and Carl, who were cleaning the walls inside, these 3 had continued again. And while doing that, Carl started telling that last year when this club was running, in that year, only 6 murders had taken place inside this club. But Bobby stopped him and said that it is music that pumps a lot of adrenaline inside any person, and because of that we get to see such actions. I will keep another music test here, and it is possible that the audience that comes here will be very good. It will be very decent. Carl's room was also inside the attic that was built on the top of this entire property. I have told you many times before that in America, when people build houses, they build hut-type houses, and after the floor below, the triangle-like shape that remains above, the rooms, etc., are built inside that corner. It is called an attic, and Carl prepared his room again inside the attic, and in the coming few days, these 3 together got the entire house and the entire property renovated properly. Now, they were very soon ready to do the auspicious Mahurat for the grand opening of this club. It had been only 4 or 5 days since the renovation had started, and Carl and Janet were renovating their respective rooms separately. Just then Janet ran straight to Carl and asked him, "Carl, have you ever noticed anything strange? Is there any place like this? Because when I entered this room for the first time, I had a very strange experience. A different vibe came, and a different incident happened with me with the sink." But Cal said that, "No, I did not see anything like that, but yes, the people who come here were very strange, and the murders that happened here were also very strange." Saying this, Cal started painting on his wall, while Janet went back to the kitchen and started cleaning there, and then she noticed that there were a lot of utensils lying inside her sink. So why not clean them? Janet started cleaning all her utensils with her hands, and then she noticed that the same red-colored water was slowly filling up inside the same sink, and not only was it filling up, but there was an unknown force that was pushing it forward. Inside the sink, Janet put both her hands forward and held the stone that was placed in front of the sink so that no one could push her forward, But still there was so much pressure from behind that someone was pushing her very hard towards the sink. Slowly the sink was completely filled with red-colored liquid, and Janet started screaming very loudly. Carl came running from the other room to the kitchen, and the moment Carl reached the kitchen, the force that was being applied to Janet from behind was released. Janet took deep breaths and turned back. She said, "Look at the sink," but there was nothing in the sink now. Whatever red-colored liquid was there, it all drained out, and again Janet told that there was something there. There was some force which was pushing me inside the sink with great force, and this sink was completely filled with red-colored liquid. Carl slowly started calming Janet down, and when Janet became completely calm, Carl said that there may be something here, but the thing which is doing this is not a peaceful energy, but it is trying to harm us. By the evening, Bobby had also reached home, and as soon as he came, Janet ran and told Bobby everything that happened to her this afternoon. But again, Bobby completely denied that no, there is nothing like that. You are thinking too much about all these things. We have bought a new house. You should be happy about this. And all these ghost things, these strange paranormal type things that you're talking about, get them out of your mind. Don't even put them in my mind. He called Carl and also made him understand that neither you will discuss such things with anyone nor you will bring them in your mind. Bobby made it clear to both of them that I have bought this club and this house by investing a lot of money. I have bought this entire property, and it is very important for me to run it so that I can recover that money. And if you guys keep talking like this, then one day we three will have to sit on the road outside with our bags. About a week after this, a police officer named Paul, who was doing his regular routine patrolling in this area, noticed at night that this club, which he knew, had new owners and they were doing renovation work on it. But all the lights inside were off, but a man was standing on the outside window of this club on the inside side, meaning that he was standing on the window inside this club. And as soon as the police officer saw him outside, he immediately picked up his jacket and said that I need backup here because I think someone has entered this club to commit theft. So soon another police officer came and met Paul, and both these officers turned on their torches and took pistols in their hands and went to the main gate of this club and started knocking on the door. Now, let me tell you that Janet and Bobby's house was on the backside. Its main gate is different, and this club is on the outside road, right on the main road, and its gate is different. So as soon as both the police officers started knocking on the gate of the club, but no one opened the door from inside. So they pushed a little more, and this door was open. So as soon as the entire door of the club opened, both of them turned their torches inside to see if someone was committing theft inside, and we could catch him red-handed. Both the police officers entered the club, but there was a lot of silence inside. They could not see anything inside with their torchlight, but they had not even seen the whole club properly when they saw that the main stage of the club was covered with curtains, and many big and long curtains were installed in front of the main stage of the club. Suddenly loud music started playing from that stage, and not only was music playing, but also sound were coming as if many people were standing on the stage and laughing and talking among themselves, and music was playing behind them. So as soon as both the officers turned their torch towards the stage, with the curtains in front, they felt that maybe there is a party going on behind, some unknown party on this stage about which we don't know. So both of them felt that we will definitely find people smoking drugs there. We will go and catch them immediately. So both these police officers slowly moved towards that stage with their pistols and their torches. They removed those curtains in a flash, but the stage was completely clear. Now, as soon as these people saw that till now the music was playing, till now people were laughing here, but now neither music is playing here, nor people are laughing here. After all, where did those people go? Both of them looked at the entire stage from front, back, top, and bottom, but they did not see anything there. And then the main gate of this club to which they had entered closed with a jerk. Both of them ran straight to that main gate, because they felt that the person whom they had come here to see, who was standing at the window, he secretly ran out through this door and closed the door. Both of them ran to that door, opened the door with force, went outside. Both of them looked on both sides of the road, but they did not see anyone running there. This police officer said in an interview given later that I had written in my report, because now I had called another police officer. Both of us had to show something there. We had to go ahead and report what we found there. But we wrote in our report that we searched that building, but we did not see anything inside. so we closed that report. But in his interview, this police officer said that whatever we felt there, whatever was going on there was happening, only we know that. If we had mentioned even a little about it, the police department would have picked us up and put us in a mental hospital, because there is no explanation of this thing in the law. But just 2 days had passed since this investigation incident, and again at night, that officer named Paul Hasby had to come inside the parking of the same nightclub, because a report had come to them that a terrible accident had happened here. A car hit an electric pole outside the parking area of this club. As soon as Paul Huss reached the parking area, he pushed the crowd aside. There was a huge crowd there, and soon they started looking at the car to see who was inside. So actually a girl was driving that car, and that girl had died on the spot. First of all, they took Janet inside the ambulance and left for the hospital. But on the way, Janet told both Bobby and Carl that there was something that pushed me from top to bottom. I was cleaning comfortably upstairs. But now as soon as these 3 people reached the hospital, the doctors in the hospital told Janet that we will have to do her delivery urgently. Premature delivery, Janet was just 5 months pregnant. But if Janet's delivery is not done now, then it could be the life of both the baby and the mother. There could be a danger to her. So Bobby immediately told the doctors to please save my wife's life and proceed for her delivery. Soon the doctors delivered a premature baby girl. Everyone was thinking that this girl would not be able to survive because it was only a 5.5-month pregnancy. You can imagine a 5.5-month-old baby. That girl weighed only 1.75 kilograms till now, but now she was in everyone's hands, and miraculously that girl survived and was absolutely healthy. Janet and Bobby were raising her together. Both were very happy that a new guest had come inside their house. Their family has grown, and now they have to take care of her too. Both were also busy in this. Only 3 weeks had passed since the birth of the child, and the final day had arrived when the grand opening of this club was going to happen. Bobby named this club Bobby Mackey's Music World and put up his big plates in the surrounding area to say that all of you are invited. Come and enjoy this night, which was absolutely free. Bobby had a lot of expectations from this. Bobby felt that his grand opening night should be very successful. Only then people will go ahead and tell others, and my customers will start coming here. And finally that night had come when Bobby also wore his full-suited booted dress, and he had already prepared his own performance. He went on stage and gave a very good performance, but he noticed that after the performance, many people were talking among themselves about this whole area, about this whole property, about some ghostly type of things. They are calling it haunted. And as soon as Bobby heard this from the mouth of the people, he immediately ran to Carl, because he knew that it was Carl who was telling the people coming here about it being haunted. This thing is haunted. He is spreading such rumors. He clearly told Carl that if you want to work here, you will have to keep your mouth shut. Nothing like this happens. If you continue telling people that there is a ghost here and all, I do not believe in these things, then the reputation of this club will be badly damaged. No one will come here to enjoy or listen to music. Then how will I pay your salary? Carl was standing down with his small mouth, but he told Bobby that, look, you can silence me if you want. You can silence your wife. But you cannot change what is happening here. Now what else could Carl do? He needed the salary. Of course, he knew that something strange was happening here. In fact, Bobby's wife Janet was also believing in these things. But both of them had to keep quiet because money was the most important thing for Bobby right now. With the passage of time, Carl was also convinced that whatever was here either could not tolerate anyone's interference in this property or was protecting this property to such a level that it would not hesitate to kill anyone. About 3 weeks had passed since the opening, and then Bobby noticed that one of the plywood boards on the walls of the club seemed very loose. It could come off and fall down any time. So he immediately told Carl to do one thing, replace this plywood board and fix it properly. Carl said that there is no problem. We have some fresh boards lying in the storage room downstairs. I will bring them from there and replace them here. So by afternoon, Carl went inside the storage room downstairs and started searching among all the different pieces of plywood kept there to find out which one would be perfect for him. And then he found a bundle of clothes on top of one such piece. A lot of clothes were wrapped inside it, and as soon as he tried to pick up that bundle of clothes and drop it down, a book came out from inside it, And as soon as Carl saw that book lying down, he picked up that book and started opening it. This book was not an ordinary book, but a journal. The journal of a girl whose name was Johanna. Carl immediately put that journal inside his pocket and took out the plywood board from there and nailed it on the wall of that club, because he was very eager to read this journal completely, because the real truth was written inside it. And what I'm going to tell you further now, all that was documented inside it. Yes, Johanna actually used to be a dancer in this club in the 1930s, and Johanna had fallen deeply in love with a musician working in this club, and when these two confronted each other, that they love each other, so both of them were immersed in a very deep relationship. Both of them prepared each other for marriage. But as soon as Johanna told her father that I want to marry a musician from this club, and we both love each other very much. But Johanna's father clearly refused that. No, I will never let this happen. Either I will take your life, or I will take his life, before you both get married. Johanna continued to convince her father, and in between this time, Johanna herself also got pregnant from the same musician. Now Johanna felt that her father would definitely agree. But as soon as Johanna told her father that she is pregnant, Johanna's father became so furious with the same musician. He got so angry that evening when Johanna came to her club for her performance, she did not see that musician anywhere. At that time, there were no mobile phones, etc., that Johanna could call and ask. This was the only way to meet. Johanna kept waiting, kept giving her performance, but her boyfriend did not come. Johanna suspected that her father has done something to her, and he has disappeared. Literally disappeared. Johanna asked everywhere around. She also asked her friends, but there was no trace of Johanna's boyfriend. Angered by this, Johanna called her father inside the same club and made him drink a cold drink. There was actually poison inside that cold drink, and not only did she make her father drink that cold drink, but she also drank that cold drink herself, and both of them died on the spot. But inside this journal, this entire journal was actually written by Johanna herself, and in the ending line she had written that I will die here, but my soul will wait inside this club for my boyfriend to come, and until I find him, I am not going to leave from here. That very night, Carl read this entire journal. But after reading this, a huge storm arose in Carl's mind, because he was understanding the reason behind all the things that were happening here. He started making 1 and 111. But the storm was not only in Carl's mind, but there was a very fierce storm in the atmosphere outside as well. There was heavy rain and lightning. And as soon as the rain started, the lights also went off within a few minutes. Now, because Carl had good knowledge of electricity, he was an electrical mechanic, he immediately picked up his flashlight and started going toward the basement of this house, because he knew that the electricity connection in this house is of 3-phase. That means you just understand that the light that comes inside our house is a single phase. If the light goes off, then we will have to wait for the electricity people to return the light. But in 3-phase ones, there is an option that if the light is gone in one phase, then who knows, by switching it, there may be light in the other phase. So immediately Carl picked up his flashlight and came down towards the basement. He opened the door and went downstairs. He went downstairs and saw the breaker box with the flashlight from where he had to turn the lever up to change the face. So, after seeing the breaker box, he immediately went to the breaker box. He picked up its handle and started turning it upwards. But with a jerk, the handle came back down, and his flashlight, which was in his hand, fell down in the other hand. Now, as soon as Carl bent down to pick up his flashlight, he noticed that his flashlight was actually lying on top of a plywood board. And he had never seen this plywood board till date, in the basement of this house. He thought that maybe some plywood board had been kept there by mistake, because there were a lot of stacks of plywood boards there. He wanted to pick up that plywood board and put it on top of the entire stack. But as soon as he picked up that plywood board, there was actually a deep well below. This plywood board was not a normal board, but well cover, and even Carl, who had been living in this club for the last many years and working in this house, did not know about the well cover. Carl lifted the well cover and started looking inside by putting a flashlight, but he could not see anything inside. There was nothing inside except the dark well and the mud walls. He thought that maybe this well was dug for water. He placed the plywood board back on the well. He picked up his flashlight and started going back towards the breaker box. But as he turned his flashlight towards the breaker box, just ahead of the breaker box, two entities, two men, were standing there whose heads were touching the ceiling above the wall. As soon as he saw this, the flashlight fell from Carl's hand. But the flashlight was flashing repeatedly due to the lightning outside, and two entities were standing in front of him, seeing whom Carl screamed loudly. Actually, at this time, Carl was standing on the lid, and as soon as he saw those two entities, Carl started panting. Carl started screaming loudly. Now, not only was Carl's screaming coming from here, but from below him, from the the sound of a woman crying very loudly was also coming. Carl had no idea how he fell asleep there. He had just collapsed below. He had gone into a state of unconsciousness, and when it was morning, it was already afternoon. The club work had started. The staff had arrived, and the noise woke up Carl in the basement. Now, as soon as he saw that it was light outside, the rain had stopped, the lights had come on. He immediately picked up the burning flashlight lying beside him and ran upstairs and started taking deep breaths because everything that had happened to him the previous night was going on in his mind. But in the coming few weeks, Carl's entire appearance, his behavior had changed. His complexion had become very dark. Not only was there a change in his complexion, but he, who used to be very aggressive, very angry, a man who used to finish every work quickly, had now become very lax. Bobby also used to trouble him a lot. That Carl, I have told you some work. You are not doing it yet. Now, in turn, Carl is Bobby's employee. But still Carl used to tell Bobby that I can't do it. I am leaving this job. But Bobby needed Carl at this time. He knew that if Carl is not here, then something can go wrong in the building, and Carl is the only one who can fix it. Carl did not tell anyone about the incident that happened with him. But for his protection, he always kept a crucifix and a bottle of holy water in his pocket because he felt that whatever is happening to him here is happening only because of that well. Whatever is coming from there is making this thing so scary, making it so much disturbed. Seeing this change in Carl's behavior, seeing his mood swings, Janet understood what is happening with Carl, because she felt this thing. And she went and told this to Bobby as well, that I feel that the spiritual activities that are happening here, the entities that are scaring us here, that is why our time has become like this now. But Bobby again refused, saying that there is nothing like that. The biggest concern for us right now is our business, which we have to run well. So instead of worrying about Cal, you should focus on your business. After some time, Bobby thought, why don't I make a short film of my entire club and run its commercial ad so that it will get publicity in the entire area and people from far-off places will come here after seeing it. So he immediately hired a whole team who was shooting here, and their head was a journalist who was Bobby's friend. And when that journalist was shooting with his whole team here, and there then he also saw Carl and Janet inside this building, and both of them told everything to that journalist. Because both of them felt that telling this to the journalist meant putting it in front of the whole world, and this thing would spread automatically. And as soon as the journalist heard this, his first question was that, what does Bobby say about this? Janet said that she is only concerned with her business. She has no idea what is going on inside this house, what is happening here, behind her back. So that journalist thought, why not interview both Janet and Carl? And when Bobby was not at home, that journalist interviewed both Carl and Janet. In that interview, Carl told his entire experience, that how he found Johanna's diary. He found her journal. The whole story was written inside it. He explained the whole story in the interview and also told about the two entities that he had seen inside the basement. In fact, on the other hand, Janet told her experience, that how on the first day when she came inside this house, she heard a sound coming from the sink, the red liquid coming, and she was pushed down the stairs. She told about her experience of her premature delivery in 5.5 months. All this was happening to her after coming to this house. That journalist had taken the interview. He had also heard everything. He had also understood the whole story. But he felt that somewhere is possible that they are exaggerating something. So he started searching for facts from his end, that what is the actual history of this whole building? What is the secret behind it, that so many things are spread about it? And as this journalist went inside the history of this building, he understood that what they are telling here is nothing. Its history is even deeper. In a book of 1897, it was written about this building, that inside this building, two men, one's name was Scott, and the other's name was Alonzo. Both of them were hanged on the charge of murder of a woman whose name was Pearl O'Brien. Actually, Pearl O'Brien was a school teacher for children in this area named Wilder. But suddenly in 1897, Pearl O'Brien's decapitated body was just her torso. Her name was written on the tattoo here. Only her body below the head was completely mutilated. Her intestines were out. Her heart was out. She was badly mutilated. And that body was found in the parking area of this club, where this parking area is built today. Her body was found there. But unfortunately, not only Pearl O'Brien was murdered here, rather Pearl O'Brien was pregnant with him, and her unborn child was also killed. Actually, Scott was Pearl O'Brien's boyfriend, and she was pregnant with him. But as soon as Scott came to know that his girlfriend Pearl O'Brien was pregnant, he told this to his roommate, who lived in the same PG with him and was doing a doctor's course there at that time, i.e. Alonzo. Alonzo gave an idea that, why don't we abort Pearl O'Brien, cut out the baby from inside her, and take it out, then her pregnancy will end. That is why he called Pearl O'Brien to the empty farm area at the backside of the club, and Alonzo had reached there with his tools. But as soon as Alonzo started the operation on poor Pearl O'Brien, despite her refusal, the operation could not be done by Alonzo. He could not control it, and Pearl O'Brien's bleeding had started so badly that the blood from her whole body had almost drained. And after this, both of them made a plan that now Pearl O'Brien is dead, the baby inside her will also die on its own. So why don't we cut off Pearl O'Brien's head and dump it somewhere else so that it can never be identified? So they first mutilated Pearl O'Brien's entire body with the tools that Alonzo had brought with him, and then cut off his head and threw it in the Licking River flowing nearby. But when people saw Pearl O'Brien's dead body, there was a tattoo of Pearl O'Brien on his hand, and Pearl O'Brien was identified only because of that tattoo. When the police investigated this case at that time, both Alonzo and Scott were picked up, and they also confessed their crime. But somehow, I don't know, they got bail at that time, and as soon as they came out, people around here were very angry with them. They caught them and hanged them both inside the club building. They were accused of not only murdering Pearl O'Brien, but also molesting her body, meaning they mutilated her and later performed some rituals with her. They performed satanic rituals, which included cutting off her head and taking it away, dumping it or sacrificing it, etc. People believed so, and in this anger, they hanged them both inside the club building. But when they were hanging Alonzo and Scott, they were asked about their last wish before dying. Scott remained completely silent. He did not ask for anything from the world. But Alonzo said that you can hang me, but when I die, I will come back from hell because of the things I have done. I will not get heaven. I will go to hell and come back from hell and will always haunt this place, the place where we murdered Pearl O'Brien and dumped her head. Actually, when the matter of dumping the head came up, Scott replied that we did not dump Pearl O'Brien's head in the river, but kept it somewhere inside this building. But he did not tell anyone where it was kept. After which people started believing that the well which was found below was found by Carl inside that basement. Both of them dumped Pearl O'Brien's head inside the same well. After which her crying voice keeps coming from that well. After this incident, for some time this entire building was made into a slaughterhouse, meaning that animals were lured here and slaughtered. But when that slaughterhouse was closed here, after that the trend of clubs started inside this building. Different owners came and made clubs here, but not everyone's club could run here. Not even one was successful, because the audience that came here was of a different type. People started performing their own rituals here. They started shedding each other's blood. In fact, this land absorbed so much blood at that time that in every case, the police had to get involved, and in every case, someone was punished. You can guess how much blood was shed inside this building at that time from the fact that the owners of this house were forced to lay a special pipeline in their time, so that the blood collected here could be dumped directly inside the leaking river flowing from the side, because they were not able to tolerate so much blood in their own land. And secondly, this journalist started to feel that the two entities that Carl had seen inside that basement when he picked up the flashlight and looked ahead toward the breaker box, then those two entities were none other than Scott and Alonzo, who had been keeping this entire area under control till now. But here another very big and deep mystery came to light when this journalist was investigating it further. He found out that Pearl O'Brien was pregnant when she died, and she had a 5.5-month-old baby in her womb. Johanna was also pregnant when she consumed poison, and she also had a 5.5-month-old baby in her womb. And the third incident is recent. Janet was cleaning the garbage of the bulb upstairs when she was 5.5 months pregnant, and someone pushed her down, and she fell rolling down the stairs. She came down, and at that time poor Janet was 5 months pregnant. But luckily Janet survived that incident, and she gave birth to a premature baby. But that baby will also survive very well in the coming time. Now this journalist could not wait any longer. He immediately picked up all his documents and proofs and ran straight to Bobby. He put all the incidents in front of Bobby, that what is the history of this land, what all happened here, who all were murdered, who all were hanged. He told all those things to Bobby. In fact, he also told the pattern, that what is that mystery of 5.5 months pregnancy here. And when Bobby heard all these things, for the first time Bobby got shocked because whatever he was seeing was happening here. Bobby knew very well that he too is not going to believe in these things. And the journalist who is saying this in front of us is also not going to believe in these things. But still, if he has come and said it in front of us, then there must be something in it. Bobby immediately told the journalist to do whatever he feels is right. Find out more about this. And whatever is happening here, update me about it. A few more weeks passed, and here the journalist found a priest, Patricia Michael, who was going to exorcise this entire area and this entire property. She was going to purify it. Patricia reached the spot, and no one told her the history of this entire property, what all had happened here. Patricia also did not ask anyone to please tell the history. No, she did not ask anything. In fact, as soon as Patricia came inside this house, she told everyone, including Carl, that whatever has happened to you, keep it in your mind only. Don't even try to tell me, because that might distract me from the thoughts that will come to me. So please let me go to my studies. Patricia roamed around the entire property for about 4 hours. In fact, she also talked to Spirit, and when she asked that spirit her name, it shouted the name Johanna in one word. Patricia asked that entity, "Why are you still here?" So that entity replied that I know that I am dead. But still I decided to stay here, and I am not going anywhere from here. Now no one told Patricia what was inside this basement. But Patricia herself went inside this basement with everyone, turned on the lights, and directly told Carl to remove this lid, while Patricia did not know that there's a very deep well under this lid. And as soon as the lid was removed, the sounds coming from inside were heard not only by Patricia and Carl, but also by Bobby, his wife Janet, and the journalist standing nearby. Immediately Patricia said that a woman's head was dumped inside this well. As soon as she said this, Patricia started breathing heavily. She was not feeling good at all. Then she ran away from there and went upstairs, climbing the stairs. She got out of this house without saying anything to anyone. She got out of this property. She picked up her car and left from there. After a few hours, when she started feeling better, Patricia came back to the spot and made everyone sit in front of her and said that now I'm going to tell you what I felt here, what I saw here. At that time, all the people sitting in front of Patricia were family members. Patricia looked only at Carl and said that, "Carl, you are not alone here, but there are 2 more men standing behind you." Yes, the same 2 entities that Cal had seen in the basement were now standing behind Cal, and only Patricia could feel them. In fact, Patricia even told that the mood swings that you've been having the last few days are only because of these 2 entities. Because these 2 entities want to use your body to scare someone, to attack someone, and it is possible that in the last few days you've been very angry. You've been very irritable, very angry, which was obvious. In fact, Janet and Bobby could not even believe that whatever Cal was saying to them, he was scolding them in such anger. Is this really Cal or not? Patricia immediately told Cal that if you do not free yourself from these 2 entities within some time, then they will take over your whole body, and it will become almost impossible to get rid of them. That is why we will have to exorcise you as soon as possible. After a few days, Patricia told a different priest who was going to exorcise Cal in the coming time, and as soon as that priest entered this club, he said that I have never seen a more evil place than this. I have exorcised many different places. I have sprinkled holy water on them. I have been to different places. But this is the biggest hit. And if Cal lives in this place and everything that Patricia told is true, then Cal really needs a lot of help. And as soon as the priest met Cal for the first time, he understood that whatever he had been told about Cal till now was absolutely true. He sent the rest of the family out of the house, set up a video camera, and made Cal sit on the table in front of him, and the priest started reciting his prayers loudly to him. Now, as the priest was speaking, Cal sitting on a chair in front of him started vibrating very loudly, started writhing in pain. He opened his mouth completely upwards, and his mouth opened so wide, which was not possible for a human being. But such a gurgling sound was coming from inside him. Along with this, a green liquid was coming out of his mouth from both sides. This is actually recorded, documented. And when the priest asked Carl his name, instead of telling his name, he told his name as Alonzo. As soon as the priest heard this name Alonzo, he immediately said that you should leave Carl's body. And on hearing this, Carl fell down from the chair vibrating a lot. The bullet hit his head too. But immediately the priest called a man from outside for his help, who caught Carl's body. Now the priest was saying his prayers loudly. But Carl, lying down, instead of speaking his normal English language, was using Latin language. And the amazing thing here was that the real Carl did not know Latin language. After which Carl, while writing below, said 4 words, nada ze natada a. I am the set. After saying these words, Carl had completely fainted. After a few minutes, Carl's eyes opened, and later Carl only told that I do not remember anything. But when I opened my eyes, a priest was standing in front of me, and another man was holding my body while I was lying down. And when I woke up, I very lovingly asked that man to leave my body, while he was holding me, and who was this priest in front of him. He did not remember anything. After recovering, after a few days, Carl himself did not want to feel what happened to him again. He immediately went to Bobby and put his resignation letter in front of him that I cannot work here anymore. Let me go somewhere else from here. I do not want to feel those things again, which I had been doing here till now. Now, after Carl left, Janet and Bobby also did not feel safe here. Their little daughter was in their hands. But they did not want to live here by taking risk in this way. Bobby was forced to borrow money from a nearby market. He bought a small house separately. He bought it for his family. But he did not want to live in this big property. December 2024, this last December, in this very December 2024, this house and this entire building was demolished by the government there because it had become so infamous that people would come here and stay overnight and share their experiences. This was a very famous, popular, wanted place there which people go to explore even today. Secondly, there is a very old and very infamous folklore related to this entire place that whoever goes there or whoever talks about it, they talk about the people who died here. One definitely pays tribute. Otherwise, those people harass them. So I myself also pay my tribute to Scott Alonzo and Pearl Bryan and Johanna. If you have also seen this video till here, then please you guys, also we will not tamper with it as it goes in the comments. We will not make any changes in it. You can also write your tribute to them in the comments below. So you tell me, what do you have to say about this incident? Have you ever seen or heard something like this before? I have told you a lot of horror stories. This was a little different from them. This is a chilling, true story of Bobby Mackey's music world in Wilder, Kentucky, a place that has become known as one of the most haunted locations in America. In the year 1990, popular country singer Bobby Mackey was searching for a large property where he could build his dream club and music auditorium. He found what seemed like the perfect building, a massive hall with space for concerts, parking, and even living quarters for his family. Excited to begin this new chapter of life with his wife Janet, he quickly bought the property without knowing that he had also purchased a terrifying past filled with violence, murder, and restless spirits. From the very first time Janet entered the property, she felt an overwhelming negative energy. Strange things began to happen immediately. She heard water running from the sink even though the taps were shut, and then witnessed a blood-red liquid rising from the pipes along with the sound of a woman's gurgling voice. Though terrified, Bobby dismissed her fears as imagination and pregnancy stress. Soon after, a man named Carl Lawson appeared at their door. He had once worked in the building when it was a nightclub and warned them about its bloody history. including bar fights, tragic deaths, and multiple murders. He offered to work as their handyman again, and Bobby hired him, thinking his knowledge of the building would be helpful. But soon Carl and Janet both began to experience disturbing encounters, unseen forces pushing Janet toward the sink, ghostly whispers echoing to the halls, and a heavy presence that seemed to follow them everywhere. Police officers on patrol also reported seeing figures inside the club and hearing music and laughter even when the building was empty. When they investigated, they found nothing but silence, yet admitted later in interviews that they were too afraid to report the truth for fear of being ridiculed. The darkness surrounding the property only deepened when a girl died in a horrific car accident outside the club. Witnesses said a mysterious woman from inside Bobby's property handed over cloth to cover the body. But when police tried to thank Bobby, he was shocked and insisted no one from his family or staff had stepped outside. This raised the terrifying possibility that the woman who appeared was not alive at all. Despite these warnings and repeated paranormal events, Bobby refused to believe. For him, this was a dream project that he had invested heavily in, and he insisted that no ghost stories to stand in the way of his music hall. But for Janet and Carl, the experiences only grew darker and more dangerous. What began as a hopeful dream for Bobby Mackey soon turned into one of the most famous horror stories in American history. To this day, Bobby Mackey's music world is known worldwide as a cursed nightclub, a place where violent spirits still roam. Music mixes with screams, and the dead refuse to stay silent.